Our next presentation is a joint effort from two companies you probably know well, OSIsoft and Microsoft. Together, OSI's Pi system and Microsoft's business intelligence tools, they're going to talk about some streaming analytics capabilities that they're bringing to the utility space right now. So for this presentation, we have two speakers, and they should be making their way to the front here hopefully soon. Our speakers are David Thomason, who is a business development executive for Global Power with Microsoft. With OSIsoft, and Ray King, who's an industry director with Microsoft. So, gentlemen.
Thank you much. Good morning. Thank you. Very good. It's great to be here with all of you this morning. We want to thank Energy Central and the Utility Analytics Institute for allowing us to present together this morning. I'm Ray King from Microsoft's Power and Utility Industry Solutions Organization.
I'm David Thomason from OSIsoft, and I think many of you are familiar with what we do, providing enterprise-wide live data streaming and event infrastructure.
So it's very interesting for Dave and I to be together. We go back several years to Dave's previous life at Reliant Resources, where we worked on a solution together there for their power plant information system and work order management system and improved maintenance system back in the day.
Yeah, we kind of pulled a complete portal view of all information that you would want in a more dynamic way to look at the actual condition of equipment, including Pi information, predictive analytics from Smart Signal, all based on the SharePoint environment. And we also tapped into our SAP work order and work management system as well, and made a context-driven portal to relate equipment to all the relative information. It's quite successful.
Even though we're not featuring that particular use case, this was a predecessor to what we'll be talking about today. So being able to take data from many systems in either the power generation side of the business or the delivery side, or in fact any business unit in the power and utilities business, being able to aggregate that data, to automate it into information, and then be able to accelerate decisions around that information is really all about what we'll be talking about today.
Yeah.
So many of you have seen presentations from Microsoft and from OSIsoft before, but I really want to ground the discussion with the fact that Microsoft does have a very strong focus in the power and utilities industry. As you see, this focus, in fact, is centered around our customers. And for OSIsoft and Microsoft, we want to thank you for the business that you execute with our two companies. We sincerely appreciate that business, whether it's a tiny bit of Microsoft that you're using or whether it's across the whole enterprise, and whether you're leveraging Pi Insight and taking that data as we're talking today and leveraging that into decision-making information. It's sincerely appreciated. So this slide's really about our focus, our partnership, because our partner ecosystem is a key aspect of Microsoft's strategy in the power and utilities business. Over 2 years ago, we created our Smart Energy Reference Architecture, and OSIsoft is one of the leaders of adopting that Smart Energy Reference Architecture and how they house their solutions, how they integrate them with existing data and information in the power and utility companies, and how this information, in fact, is relevance and value is increased through the reference architecture. We constantly work at Microsoft with our partners and with our product teams. As you'll see in the description today and in a couple of the videos, OSIsoft is, in fact, making use of some of our most advanced technologies, Power Pivot and Power View, and utilizing these technologies to increase the value of this data transformed into information. Our strategy comes from our worldwide team. Many of you may have relationships back with really who I have coined the term the godfather of Microsoft's power and utilities industry, John Arnold, who heads up our worldwide power and utilities vertical. And this strategy comes from John's organization and how we adopt the different strategies and solutions and deliver them through our field to our power and utility customers. So today's discussion is not only about use cases in the power generation business, but also in other business units, particularly energy delivery, and you'll see some of the references from our customers in this particular area. But it's really about taking formerly siloed information, whether it was at the unit level or the plant level, and being able to transform the capabilities around what was formerly at the operations desk, at the plant operator, or inside the plant, and to be able to take a total fleet view of the generation business, or taking a total grid view across the energy delivery business, and being able to, in fact, surface this information in a role-based fashion. As you see here, you've got the plant manager, the turbine engineer, the executive, and the plant operator, all with the right data surfaced through dashboards to their particular desktop, laptop, remote device, so that they are constantly able to be in touch with the information, but be able to accelerate decisions and take quick issues into action. So we see that better decisions are enabled through this access to the information tailored to their particular role.
So last night I was thinking, well, how can I use basic technology to solve some of today's questions? A question that's been puzzling man for some time. And so I went out on Bing and did a Bing search. And, of course, I did a Bing search instead of use the G word in front of Ray here. Didn't want to do that.
Gives me a rash.
But Bing came back with an answer, a very simple answer to the question, who let the dogs out? And, of course, this guy comes up, and he's taking credit for it. So I think it's good that he's taking responsibility there.
That could have been one of the dogs in the Westminster show last night.
Could have been. So the challenge that we see in the industry as systems are getting huge. I mean, we're getting millions and millions of points of information in real time. The implementation of PMUs and synchrophasers is greatly impacting how much data you actually have and how can you analyze that in a quick and timely fashion. We have a data tsunami that's hitting us. So how can you mine that and get what's important out of that? And that's some of the tools that we're going to talk about today. Make this such an easy, ad hoc way of getting to that information and being able to make that information into proper decision support based on current situational awareness.
So we've just recently completed a smart grid survey, and two of the key findings there along this survey question of how does your company currently address the data tsunami challenge to the smart grid? Well, we see the top answer being business intelligence tools. And as in the prior presentation, really these decision-making tools are moving from the phrase of business intelligence to operational intelligence. So in real time or in near real time, being able to take that data and surface in ways that are the most useful to the operational or business or technical user. The second is, and we, as every turn we make, every conference we attend, every article we see, is now all about this data tsunami and the level of data, or big data, as a phrase has been coined here very recently. So we see utilities implementing enterprise data warehouses. And along these two lines, Microsoft has been working for years now to provide these types of technologies and to work with our partners delivering solutions that are based on these needs.
And Ray, to highlight the third item there is really, you can't read it from the floor, but it's a single view of information across the enterprise, basically trying to get all the information into one common type of footprint.
And then being able to access that from our trusty desktop, from our laptop, no matter where we are, or our smart devices that we're all very well tied to and, in fact, depend on nowadays. So the secondly is ranking the challenges of this current infrastructure, creating reports from big data system. So 45% of respondents said training time around these tools is the top answer. The lack of data mining technologies and tools was 19%, so you see how far behind that is to the training time or the implementation of these tools. The need to depend on the IT department for results is the next in line. This is particularly pertinent because one of the cases that we'll be describing today at CFE of Mexico, not only will you see that what the value of the information has been to CFE and to their operator, Sanasi, but the side benefit, as one of the key participants and principals from CFE, you'll see quoted is that besides the value of the information is the value of and the ability of each business unit or location to be able to customize, create their own reports, develop their own dashboards, freeing up IT to really be strategic in where they're moving the corporation, as opposed to being shackled to constantly having to maintain, create, be involved down to the business unit and how these business intelligence tools are created and leveraged.
So the two products you see here on the screen, the one on the left is the newest product release from OSI Soft. It's called Pi CoreSight. It is the easiest and fastest way to mine information from your Pi systems. It is a very ad hoc user tool. By using the AF structure, which is our asset framework on the left, you can kind of intelligently group your millions of points of data into logical assets and entities, and then use those as your data source. It's basically a drag and drop type system. You grab an asset or a group of assets, drop them on the canvas, and then can manipulate those objects into various forms of trends or pie charts or gauges, and just switch them back and forth. You then can play with your canvas, customize your screen. This is looking at real-time information, and then save that and publish that, make it public for everyone else within the organization. On the right is Microsoft.
One of our newest technologies following on to Power Pivot, and many of your organizations may be making use of Power Pivot. It's a particular key benefit to CFE, and the use case we'll be showing in a few minutes. But the next step is Power View, which will be delivered this spring with SQL 2012. And this is a way to customize the outputs of either Power Pivot or SQL Server analysis services, and to be able to create ad hoc reports and dashboards in very straightforward fashion. So this is all built on the foundation of Microsoft Smart Energy Reference Architecture, and you see in both diagrams at the bottom, the stack is SQL Server 2012, Microsoft SharePoint 2010, and Pi Server 2010 as the source of all the data.
And both applications are riding on Silverlight, which is going to make them very portable, easy to publish on a standard IIS box, and also in SharePoint. So this is an example of a Power Pivot tool that kind of creates very easy to use slices of the information that's behind the scenes. This is tied into Pi Data Link, so it gets back to the core of all the real-time information, pulls it in through the very easy-to-use tool of Excel, which is the preferred favorite interface of most engineers and users out there. And we have a video here that should run that'll kind of show you how this works. But basically, the user can select between multiple, peak or off-peak type slices across the data. Of course, the data is going to get pulled in real time into these visuals.
And in this example, you're actually looking at the power flows across the distribution system. And the operational analyst is taking and making slices and being able to analyze the power flows and the percentage load on each transformer and in each category of transformer per age. So you can imagine as you're looking at peak periods of the day, looking across the grid and being able to see the flow through particular transformers and the age of those transformers. So being able to optimize the grid, make some modifications to flows across the grid where these transformers with 20 years, 30 years of age in fact, the flows could be reduced across those. That's just one use case, being able to take tremendous amounts of data through Power Pivot. By the way, there is no limit on the number of rows or columns that can be analyzed through Power Pivot. It can be hundreds of thousands or millions of rows. And being able to analyze that level of data and being able to use these most advanced tools to make all kinds of different analysis. So as you see, this part of the demo is about transformer maintenance, and you're used to seeing through Performance Point that red, yellow, and green are assigned to different transformers here in different categories. So the operational analyst can be taking a look at those that are highlighted in red and be able to take action as to what is necessary around maintenance around those particular pieces of equipment. So asset optimization, one of the key objectives of many of our power and utility customers, and being able to use these tools to address those pieces of equipment that need attention the most and in quick fashion.
And I'd like to note that when you have your data infrastructure in place, you have your asset framework in place, and you start creating these Power Pivot type of slices through your information, they require no really IT involvement of writing any code. It's all done by the standard tools themselves.
So now you're going to be seeing a demonstration of Power View and being able to build a dashboard in a browser in very short order here just by taking the different sources of data, clicking on those, and adding those into the dashboard framework.
And the data that's being selected on the right is coming from the exact same Power Pivot slices that were created within Excel and can be visualized from the Power View tool. So you still have the access back into the live information that's going across your enterprise. So here they're actually selecting some regional areas. They're going to now select some more data points around what those areas, the details within those different areas. They'll select how they want that data viewed. And here they're going to do a bar. And now the data within this view is still interrelated. So if you select a particular region on the left, you're going to see the data change associatedly on the right. Once again, all this, no code, just drag and drop tools, as long as you have that framework in place behind the scenes.
So as you see the business unit or analyst moving through different scenarios, being able to make different determinations, one of the nice features of Power View is as you're making your daily report, weekly report, monthly report, moving into presentations, with one click you can, in fact, transform this from a dashboard into a PowerPoint slide. So no more having to take a lot of extra steps to move from your work tools here into presentation materials. It's one click.
So this is another example of the Power View tool, being able to look at some different graphic visualizations. Here we have some 3 axes, actually data points, the bottom axis being the temperature, ambient at the substations, the left axis or the y-axis being the power, and the actual size of the dot itself is the third value. They can slide this day slider. You could make that slider whatever you wanted it to be, and show the various positions of those district areas. And you could also click on one and then do a trace on it, so you could see what historically it's been doing over that same time frame.
Many of you may have seen presentations by PSE&G around their condition-based maintenance program and being able to take PI infrastructure and Microsoft tools and SharePoint as a dashboard, and being able to pull in different sources of information. We have them highlighted as one of our delivery customers that has really had tremendous results from their condition-based maintenance program, and we see them moving to be able to use these tools to do deeper analysis, not only around the equipment, but around the power flows that are associated with the equipment, as I mentioned before.
Both our companies have a very strong belief in enabling the end user, and that's really the focus of all these tools. These tools are trying to enable the masses, so it's not just one or two folks within the organization that really knows how to mine the information and generate it. It's really to enable everyone on their desktop tools to be able to do this type of work, very ad hoc.
So we move from the delivery side of the business to the energy supply with CFE and their operator, Senase. This is a use case where year before last, the latest versions of OSI Soft Pi Infrastructure 2010 and Microsoft SQL Server 2008 R2, Office 2010, SharePoint 2010, and our Office Communicator solution Link were all combined and leveraged to improve CFE's insight from the unit, from the plant, to a total fleet of generation that, in fact, has increased their ability to efficiently dispatch their units, to improve maintenance, to improve their total dispatch across their generation. If you're not familiar with CFE, they're a huge utility with almost 86,000 employees, including 1,200 at the Senase operating unit, 8 different control areas, 774 generating units with almost 52,000 megawatts of capacity, and maximum demand of 36,000 megawatts.
And I guess the thrust behind their project, faced with all the economic hard times that we are as well, they really needed to improve efficiencies. They really were looking for technology to try to solve some of those issues, and they were one of the leaders in implementing the Power Pivot type tools against all their real-time information. Quote here from Fernando, who's the director of information applications. It's just that, he saw the value of making BI no longer an individual activity. He wanted to enable more and more folks within CFE, and he thought that, of course, our combination between OSI Soft and Microsoft helped him enable that.
So we'll provide the case study of this particular use case at CFE. There's a link in the end of the deck. But just some highlights. CFE is seeing almost $5 million in operational improvements and reduced O&M through the solution. But they're also benefiting from this ability, as I mentioned before, for self-service operational intelligence to be enabled at the business unit level for each individual that's now involved with the use of the solution. Not only that, but they're taking advantage of one of the most advanced features of our combined tools is through having Pi notifications shipped through Microsoft's Unified Communications Platform Link through text to customize address lists, whether it's the turbine engineer or operational technician all the way up through the ranks to the executive. They're getting notifications about particular pieces of equipment or units, or they're getting summary information that's provided to them through notifications, so that each particular level of technical staff or management is able to get notifications that something key is necessary that requires their attention, and then being able to have that access to the solution remotely.
Sure, that user is then enabled to customize his own filtering for purpose, say, to bring the proper information to him that is of his interest.
You see one of the Power Pivot reports here that CFE and Senase are leveraging, and this is about energy efficiency and net versus gross generation by region, and this information, as we showed in the demo, can easily be modified to specifically what the business user or operational user is needing from the data itself. So just a couple examples of the Power Pivot reports, and that these can be so easily customized through the same process that we were in fact, showing in the demo.
Sure. The previous slide was more of like a regional view. This is drilling down to more specifics around the actual generation units themselves as well. Being able to slice through dates, through units, or even generation types.
So more quotes from Fernando, and if you're able to attend the OSI Soft Users Conference, there's a possibility that Fernando will be speaking at that. I know he's done that in the past. As you see the quotes here, being able to monetize operational data and seeing the results and the savings that I described, and you can see those in detail in the case study itself. We've got a customer that has benefited tremendously by the partnership and by some of the most advanced technologies and implementing them not only efficiently, but then being able to continuously improve around the benefits of these particular technologies and solutions, including OSI Soft Pi infrastructure and Pi notifications, but also some of Microsoft's latest technologies and tools.
Sure. I think they definitely have the data access bug now.
So these are a few quotes from some of our combined customers. I mentioned PSE&G's condition-based maintenance program in energy delivery. I know, Dave, you're more familiar with DTE Energy, but really they have taken the Pi infrastructure and made it an absolutely strategic application at DTE Energy.
And they're estimating around $20 million that they have saved with their implementation and use of the Pi system.
At Metro Vancouver, you see how this theme is continued through the quote from the customer there, that the information is one thing, but being able to access and make quick decisions around it for quick issue resolution, timely issue resolution is really, as echoed before, and we continue to emphasize that as the benefits of OSI Soft and Microsoft together. So business intelligence, no longer an ivory tower project or a project where only certain members of the management chain have this information available. It's really self-service down to each particular user, no matter what level they are. As we talked about, the OSI Soft Pi infrastructure and Microsoft BI tools are really providing now this operational intelligence or streaming analytic solutions. And it's being provided no matter what level or what access there is to the information. As you saw some of the tools before, being able to make powerful decision-making tools out of data is really where we see things being delivered now to many different companies and different levels of user. Some upcoming conferences and participations that many of you will probably be involved in. Dave, you want to?
Yeah, please come out to the OSI User Conference. It's in April this year. It'll be in San Francisco. We always have a very innovative and energetic group of people who actually we all get to share ideas from each other, and that I think is the biggest benefit of our UC. There's an executive summit that'll be going on in Chicago. It's August 29th through 30th. And every year we have a T&D users group meeting, which is really driven by the users. It's OSI helps sponsor and coordinates it, but it's a true users group meeting. Microsoft utilities.
Some of you participated this past fall in our Global Utilities Summit. At Redmond, we have our Second Utilities Innovation Forum, May 22nd through 24th for our global customers in Germany, and we'll be having our second Global Utilities Forum this particular fall, November 6th and 7th in Redmond again. The URL there for Microsoft.com Utilities, you'll be able to find a tremendous amount of content there around our partnership, around case studies, videos, upcoming events, a tremendous wealth of information, as well as access to our smart energy reference architecture that I mentioned a couple of times here during today's presentation. You see OSI Soft's customer-facing site there, also along the lines of the Microsoft partnership, and the CFE case study that we've highlighted there at the end of the presentation.
You bet.